1984, Camillus Gripshover dies, and he distributed the family farm evenly among the 9 living children. 2 of his sons get a loan, and they buy the other brothers and sisters out for approximately $20,000 apiece. In 1986, a new facility was completed on the original grounds, and all the old buildings of Lakeland Asylum were demolished. A new complex of modern, clean edifices stand down the road at the corner of Lakeland and LaGrange. Though it flirted with privatization in the 1970s, Lakeland Asylum is publicly operated today. In 1987, Ronald Reagan signed a resolution passed by Congress to observe October 6 as German American Day. October 6, 1683 was when Francis Daniel Pastorius found the first Germantown. By the 1990s, only 9 Kentucky counties depended on farming as a keystone to their economy. Only 9 counties out of Kentucky's 120 thought of farming as their main industry. On November 3rd, 1995, Sharon L. Cromer Gripshover, who lives in King George, Virginia, writes a Gripshover history book called The Gripshovers in America, which I first heard about just recently at 30 years of age. Even though the railroad lobbyists weren't able to get William Justice Goebel's Railroad Commission dissolved in the 1890s, by 2000 the railroad lobbyists had won. On November 7, 2000, 50.55% of the 30% of Kentuckians who actually turned out to vote voted in favor of Senate Bill 70, which was a legislative constitutional amendment that abolishes the Railroad Commission, William Justice Goebel's Railroad Commission, and it transfers its duty to another state agency. The Railroad Commission was used to help coal miners in Kentucky on January 12, 1900, in order to get as good as prices as Virginia was getting. The Railroad Commission also eliminated preferential contracts, so there would be no corruption. Following the abolition of the Kentucky Railroad Commission on November 7, 2000, the Transportation Cabinet had been tasked with the responsibility of regulating railroads within the Commonwealth pursuant to KRS 174.057. KRS 174.057 says that railroads are now regulated by the Division of Planning within the Department of Highways Office of Project Development within the Transportation Cabinet, and this division supposedly had the same authority that the Railroad Commission, now dissolved, once had. In 2008, a divorce case, Gripshover v. Gripshover, made Kentucky legal precedent. The case was between George and Darlene Gripshover. A family court had awarded Darlene child support and a maintenance fee for her without taking in the value of the farm land trust, which had been entered into before the marriage of George and Darlene. The Supreme Court argues that even though Darlene wasn't a part of the original farm land trust, she still had retained an equitable interest in real property during the 13-year marriage of that original farm land trust. The Kentucky Supreme Court ordered that the family court reconsider the alimony amount, since George continued to benefit from the farm land trust when Darlene had an equitable interest in the real property, and that hadn't been factored into the algorithm to determine her divorce settlement. In 2009, the North Point Training Center prison was the scene of a riot, destroying several of the original buildings. On the evening of August 21st, 2009, 60 to 80 inmates were involved in a riot because they were restricted food. 5 buildings were set on fire, including the kitchen, medical, visiting, canteen, and the multi-purpose building. By 10:30 p.m. that night, the prison's correction emergency response team had subdued the inmates. Some inmates sustained minor injuries. Damage to the facility was so extensive that some of the 1,200 inmates at the prison were transported to other prisons. Since August 18, 2011, the prison, North Point Training Center, had been on lockdown till today. August 18th of 2011 till today has been on lockdown, when a black inmate and a white inmate were assaulted by 10 to 15 Hispanic inmates. In 2012, Central State Hospital is a 192-bed adult psychiatric hospital located in eastern Louisville, Jefferson County, Kentucky, a state that is #1 in the U.S. for the poorest mental health. Part of the original grant now makes up the grounds of Central State Hospital and E.P. Tom Sawyer State Park. On April 17, 2012, Lutz Gripshover is injured. Lutz Gripshover is in Germany, He is a Grubschover relative in Germany, and he was recovering from a horse accident since he's a famous jockey in Germany. And recently he was awakened from an artificial coma. So his injury was substantial. When Carla Arlinghaus Schulte had talked to our relatives Ludger Grubschover and Ursula Feldman, Nee Grubschover, among others, while in Germany, she had talked to Ludger Grubschover, who is Lutz's father. Today, 59-year-old Manfred Bucher, who writes English very well, and he lives at Dorf Barschaft 23. Manfred Bucher's grandfather's grandfather is Ferdinand Buchner, who had purchased Dorf Barschaft 23 from Johann and Catherine in May 1869. Manfred Bucher only knows about 2 Grubschover families who are related to the Grubschover immigrants. And he says that they live in Ashburg and Warney, just outside of Munster. The German Bruggermans own a farm nearby the German Grubschovers. There are no more German gravestones at St. Urban's Catholic Church because cemetery plots were rented for 30 or 40 years. And then they removed the graves instead of continuing to rent them out. The Grubschovers had old and small buildings on the land in Germany when they owned it. But when the Buckner/Buchers improved the farm with newer and bigger buildings, which largely today go unused since they don't farm the land anymore. Barbel Volle is a librarian from St. Urban Catholic Church. She said that the church records were moved from Marsbochold to Munster's Bistum's archive. Barbel Volle also said that from an article that she had about the Grubschovers that the debt of the farm wasn't too high to where they were forced to sell. So the original Grubschovers, Johann and Anna Katharina, Johann and Catherine, probably is how history say, but Katharina is the German name if we ain't going to anglicize the Grubschovers anymore. But the debt of the farm wasn't too high where they were forced to sell, so they're left by choice. They also had the $6,700 that they should have been able to pay for America themselves by selling the land. But Sharon L. Cromer Grubschover wrote that Johann and Katharina's voyage was financed by Anna Katharina Bruggerman's father. The Germans were leading labor leaders and thinkers, political agitators. They were engineers, scientists, politicians, and CEOs. Germans are farmers, craftsmen, lawyers, and pioneers. German culture is rich in science, art, and literature, and commerce and industry. From Germany, we get Rockefeller, Chrysler, Eisenhower, Beethoven, Nietzsche, Audi, Porsche, BMW, Mercedes-Benz, Volkswagen, the German Shepherd, the Doberman, Rottweiler, the Pocket Watch, LCD screens, electronics, engineering, petroleum engine, the diesel engine, the jet engine, motorcycle, beer, sausage, Heinz ketchup, the hamburger, hot dog, apple pie, Miller, Pabst Blue Ribbon, Stroh's, Hams, Budweiser, Henry Weinhardt's, Coors, Michelob, Lowenbrau, Kentucky Bourbon State, Levi Strauss, Kraft, NASA, Oscar Mayer, Night Vision Goggles, Frederick Hegel Hershey, Boeing, Theodore Dreiser, John Steinbeck, Kurt Vonnegut, and the irreverent Dr. Seuss, Theodore Seuss Geisel, Thomas Nash, the German-born cartoonist who created the popular images of Uncle Sam and Santa Claus and gave us the donkey and elephant symbols for our major political parties. Walter Lippmann, philosopher Arthur Schopenhauer, Karl Marx, Albert Einstein, kindergarten, which was brought to America by the German people, as well as the Christmas tree, and Rammstein. The Grubschover's mother tongue was Plattdeutsch, which none of us speak today.
This is not a love song. I don't sing my mother tongue. This is not a love song. I don't sing my mother tongue. This is not a love song. I
None of us speak Plattdeutsch, our mother tongue. The English language, which is the third most popular language in the world, behind Mandarin Chinese and Spanish, is a West Germanic language. This is why we check the weather on the Doppler radar and measure the temperature in Fahrenheit. If our neighbor is choking on a bratwurst, we give him the Heimlich. German culture is everywhere. German Americans fought in many American wars. Most fought for the Union during the Civil War, and the Grip Shivers fought in World War I and World War II, the Afghanistan War, and more. World War I, World War II, Afghanistan War, much more. The Grip Shivers in general have large Catholic families and longevity. A vast majority of Grip Shivers live till their 70s, 80s, 90s, and they have many children in order to carry on their legacy. German Americans are the largest minority in America. America cultivates the best that Germany brought forth.